What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NFL Turf Talk. I'm your host at Scotty Drown. NFL Turf Talk is brought to you by DSM Media. You can find me on X at Scotty Drown, as you can see by the name tag on the screen. And you can find DSM Media at DSM_media on X. Welcome to the show, everybody. As you can see by the title of the show, we're going to go over the NFL divisional round of the postseason. Obviously going to preview just Saturday for today. So this will be a bit of a quicker show, I guess, than usual. Just because we're not going to be covering a full slate, obviously. We're only going to be covering two games, the two games that are today. Obviously Kansas City and Houston, and then Detroit and Washington. So we'll get into both of those games. I'm also going to just start the show with power rankings of the remaining 8 teams, just to give you an idea of where my head's at. Might point you to where I'm leaning in some of these games as well, just by where some of the teams are. But nonetheless, I do like to just go over the final power rankings before we get into the slate, just to give a little bit more perspective overall of the postseason. Just to be clear, this is part 1 of this weekend's NFL Turf Talk stream. So tomorrow we will be back to cover the Ravens and Bills, and obviously the Eagles and Rams. Dylan will be joining me for that one. So no, this isn't the typical show, but it's a postseason. We got games on both days. We're going to be flexible here and get the content out to you guys. All that being said, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us grow there. We truly appreciate it. And like the video, it helps us get more viewers on the stream. It helps the algorithm push us out there to more people. And that's the goal, is to get more and more people involved with the show. What up, Willie Esco? Oh, he's already given his picks for the weekend. We might be on the same page here. We'll figure that out as the weekend goes on. But Willie's got the Chiefs, Lions today, and the Eagles and Bills tomorrow. Interesting enough. There's one game that I disagree with Willie on there. There's one game, but I'm not going to give that away. I'm not going to give that away just yet. But let's go ahead, get into power rankings here to start the show. Maybe we can get some comments flowing, get some people involved in the show here. Really quick, I'm just going to share this out on my Twitter page or X, whatever you prefer there. Do my daily tap-in post and NFL Turf Talk. All right, let's get to it, man. Enough of the bullshitting. Let's start with top 8 power rankings, because that's all that's left. There's only 8 teams left. I'm going to start from the bottom. We're going to work our way to the top. Number 8, at the bottom, 10-7 team. It's going to be the Houston Texans for me here. I did contemplate between them and number 9 on who I would want to place higher. Let's go ahead. Or excuse me, number 9. I'm used to doing 10 teams. There's 8. Number 7, which is directly above 8. Let me learn how to count really quick. Number 8, Houston, 10-7. The other 10-7 team is right above them. That's the LA Rams. I went back and forth with these two teams because I just couldn't quite decide, man. And I think the part that threw a wrench in these ranking these two teams for me was CJ Stroud's performance last weekend. I personally can't decide whether that was a great performance, a good to great performance. Was it just an average performance? Was the performance like Nico Collins making the plays down the field? I don't know. I'm confused. There was part of me that believes maybe we were seeing some of rookie CJ Stroud, like rookie season CJ Stroud mixed in there last weekend, which if you can get that rookie version, and that sounds so weird if you can get the rookie version of an NFL player, right? But he was borderline elite in his rookie season. Obviously took a little bit of a downturn this season. He's had injuries pile up around him. But if you can get back to some of that elite football that CJ Stroud was showing in his rookie season, maybe you can get a more competitive Houston team, because that defense last week, that's the other confusing part, right? The defense looked outstanding. They got 2 great corners on the outside to help out against the Chiefs wide receivers. I think the issue there, right, you look at the Chiefs running game, you look at the tight ends, but I look at the Texans defense. Is that Texans defense that good as they looked last week against the Chargers? Or was that just a Justin Herbert major meltdown? So we're going to learn a lot this weekend with these teams that are matching up. But I ultimately went with the Rams over the Houston Texans because at the end of the day, I think we're going to trust Matthew Stafford. I think we're going to trust Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua on the outside, right? We're going to trust that offense over the Houston offense that's just a little beat up right now. And the Rams are playing some much better defense down the stretch here of the season. So I went with the Rams over the Texans. The next one, I feel like this is kind of clear. Like the Washington Commanders, I think they're that next team up. I think it would be foolish to have them above any of the 5 teams I have ahead of them. So I went with the Commanders here, 12-5. I think that's a compliment to the Commanders, though, man. What are you talking about? Yeah, I know we play the Rams, Martian. What do you mean by that? I guess I'm not understanding that comment. No, Martian, we're doing power rankings right now, so you must have just hopped in. I'm just going over remaining 8 teams' power rankings and just ranking them in order. So I'm going with the Rams over the Texans at 7 and 8. Yeah, Martian. Yeah, power rankings. That's it. Yeah, that's my bad. Kind of my bad. It's my bad for starting the show late. I didn't start on time. So you didn't get here on time. You're all good, brother. You're always welcome to comment, man. So Rams over Texans power rankings. All right. Number 6, I went with the Commanders, 12-5 team. I think they've shown down the stretch here that they are better than those 2 teams below them. Obviously, a big win last weekend against Tampa Bay. No, not at all, Martian. Don't be scared. I will say this, Martian. We are going to talk Eagles-Rams tomorrow when Dylan's back. So just touching on power rankings in the 2 games today. Number 6, Washington Commanders. Already talked about them. The big win over Tampa Bay last week. This is where it gets interesting. And this is where maybe I give away a little bit of my picks for the weekend. I have the Buffalo Bills at number 5. Number 5 team left in the NFL playoffs. Obviously, the Bills were 13-4. Just had a humongous W against the Broncos. The Broncos came out hot, right? Scored 7 on their first drive. They did not score again. So Josh Allen, that Bills offense, that Bills defense, they were able to control things last week against Denver. I think Baltimore's a different animal. That's why I have Baltimore ahead of the Buffalo Bills here at number 4. Even as a 12-5 team, I think we've seen just how dangerous Lamar and King Henry can be when they're at the top of their game. Maybe they can get Zay Flowers back down the stretch here of the postseason. I do have the Baltimore Ravens at number 4. Number 3, we're going to go with the Detroit Lions, man. And I'm interested in this game tonight. I'll throw that out there. I'm going to get into it a little bit later in the show. But it's an interesting matchup between them and the Commanders, right? And I'm looking at the Lions. The main reason I have them below the 2 teams I have ahead of them, defense or lack thereof, defense. And that brings me to my number 2 team, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that there's a lot of people that, I don't know if it's like lost faith in the Eagles or just gained like a tremendous amount of hope in the Los Angeles Rams, but you just see it all over the national scope this week. People are just picking the Rams over the Eagles left and right. I find it quite amazing because if you look at anything that actually has to do with playing football, there's no reason for you to pick the Rams over the Eagles this weekend. But that, to each their own. I have the Eagles up here because of the way that defense performed last weekend against a top 10 offense in the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. They picked him off 3 times. They were able to force a fumble. They forced 4 total turnovers last weekend. The Eagles end up winning by double digits, 2 possessions. And the offense didn't even really play well. It was Jalen Hurts' first game back from concussion, hadn't played football in 3-4 weeks. To be clear, I thought he would come out and look a little bit better. The offense definitely looked a little bit rusty. They played a little bit conservative. They end up winning this game by double digits, 2 possessions against a very good Green Bay Packers team. So really it's the defense that stood out to me And I know that offense is coming. I know that Saquon, Jalen, AJ, so on and so forth, that offense is coming. They're going to make some plays. But obviously that leaves one team at the top. You could have probably guessed that from the jump. Going with the Chiefs at 15-2. They take on the Texans today. And they're just going to be marked as the best until they're not, until they're beaten. I think that is the respectful way to go about dealing with the Chiefs right now. But Martian, are the Lions on upset alert? You know what's bothering me about upset like alerts and like at this point in the divisional round of the postseason? It's like, yes, upset alert should be on. So I don't know if that is like disrespecting the Lions. And I only say this because everybody's saying the upset alert's on for the Eagles, right? It can either be all or it can be nothing, right? Like if the upset alert is on for the Eagles, the upset alert is on for the Chiefs, the upset alert is on for the Bills, the upset alert is on for the Lions. That's where I'm at, Martian. If you want to say there's an upset alert, then it goes across the board. We're in the divisional round of the postseason. We have 8 teams left. It's about to put up 4. Let's double that. We got 8 teams left. Everyone's on upset alert. I think that's fair to say. I think that's the fairest way to put it. But yeah, I think they are on upset alert. 10-point favorites, or what is it now? 9-point favorites, 8.5 points. What's up, Terry? Happy to catch up. Terry texted me. I was a little late. I was supposed to be here at 11:05. I got here an hour and some change late. So I appreciate all of you being here now. But yeah, what's up, Terry? Happy Saturday. We got some ball today. The Yoffs are back. What up, D-Rad? Appreciate you checking in, brother. That is certainly true. The Yoffs are back again this weekend. And yeah, Martian, the internet thinks we are a bigger upset alert than the Lions. Let me put it this way, Martian. As you can see by my power rankings, the Washington Commanders are better than the LA Rams. I'll throw this one to you. The Green Bay Packers are better than the LA Rams. We're not getting into that today, though. I'm just getting a little ahead of myself. That's tomorrow's show. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about this Houston-Kansas City matchup. We have the Houston Texans 10-7 visiting the 15-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Kansas City coming off the bye in the first round of the playoffs. Houston last week, I mentioned it earlier. Defense dominated, held the Chargers at 12 points, picked Justin Herbert off. Was it 4 times? Was it 3 or 4? Let me double check. Yeah, I want to say 4. Yeah, career high 4 times. More total interceptions than he had his entire regular season. Just wanted to double check and fact check myself there. But Houston beats LA Chargers 32-12. They get a ton of turnovers on Justin Herbert. The offense in return able to put up 32 points. I think they did have a pick 6 in this game as well. One of those got returned for a touchdown. But the offense nonetheless. CJ Stroud made some plays getting out of the pocket, using his legs, getting the ball downfield to Nico Collins. That's where the confusion lies for me. What is the Houston Texans offense? I think the Texans defense can come out and compete with the Chiefs. I think they can keep it competitive. But the Chiefs are going to put up some points. We know it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. They're going to score some points. So what I'm wondering, if the Chiefs can get up to 25, 26, 27, 28 plus points, can the Texans get to 28 points against this Chiefs defense? I don't know. I lean no. But I do think there's a possibility if CJ Stroud has kind of, I don't know if that was rust during the regular season. There were a ton of injuries around him, as I mentioned earlier. Doesn't look the same as he did in his rookie year. I keep saying get back to the rookie play. It's not that. It's you should really be developing on top of the rookie play. He should be better than what he was last year. Can he be what he was last year or better? Maybe that's a better way to put it. And if he can, I think they can compete with the Chiefs, man. I think they can. D-Rab says, give him the Texans plus 14.5 and over 41.5 for game total. That doesn't sound too bad, man. What do the odds look like for that? I'm curious. Does that give us plus odds? Because what's the line at right now? 9.5. So we give we alt the spread a little bit, give the Texans a little bit more room to breathe there. And the total? That is the actual game total, though, 41.5. So that's got to be plus money. I don't hate that, man. And I think that speaks to kind of what I'm talking about, because I do think the Chiefs can get upwards of 24 points against this Texans defense. As good as that Texans defense has looked, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's playoff ball, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, so on and so forth. We know the story. Can the Texans score 20 plus points? If the Texans can score 20 points today, I think, yeah, they keep it within 15. They keep it within 10. I don't think the Chiefs are going to come out here and run up 40 on the Texans today. I don't think so. But maybe they do have a chip on their shoulder. It's hard to say. Which CJ Stroud do we get today? Do we get top 10 quarterback CJ Stroud? Nico Collins is nasty. He's nasty. He's a top 10 wide receiver. I discussed that with Dylan before the season started. This season solidified it. He is a top 10 wide receiver, probably higher than that. Nico Collins is nasty. You got Joe Mixon back there. He fumbled last week, so I expect him to be better this week. Joe Mixon is actually one guy that joined the Texans that has actually beaten the Chiefs in the postseason when he was part of that Bengals team that went to the Super Bowl a few years ago. So Mixon has experience beating the Chiefs. Is that enough? It's not, obviously, but he helps. Can we get top 10 quarterback CJ Stroud today? That's the big question for me. Plus 210? What? Man, what? That sounds real nice, D-Rad. I like what you built there, man. Plus 210? What? Plus 14.5 and over 41.5. The total is what drives up those odds, I'm sure. But if they're plus 14.5, I think you do go over the total, so it makes sense. Let's go Lions. I don't like Washington fans. It is weird. I will say this. The Lions and Commanders game, we're going to get into it in a second, but that's like a win-win for me. Or lose, win-win. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter to me, honestly. I win or I lose either way, I guess. The reason I say that, if the Washington Commanders beat the Detroit Lions, the Commanders are not a better team than the Detroit Lions. So they would be knocking a better team out, which would in return put a lesser team than could be in the Eagles' path moving forward. I'm an Eagles fan, so that matters to me. So yeah, if the Commanders can knock the Lions off, yeah, do us a favor. But in return, we have to hear Commanders fans, and for a week or whatever, I'm going to have to hear how the Commanders are going to, beat the Eagles and whatnot. So that is the downside of the Commanders winning. The downside of the Lions winning is that the better team wins. You're going to have to play the better team or the better opponent moving forward. So yeah, that's where I stand with that. But yeah, I do think Washington fans, LA Rams fans, I think they both gotten quite ahead of themselves. Damn, yeah. See, now that sounds a little bit better. It does, just to give yourself a little bit of leeway there, just in case the Texans do fucking suck. But to that point again, if they're staying within 15 or 10 or whatever, they're going to have to score some points today for sure. Do you love Nick Sirianni? You're an Eagles fan, right? Do you love Nick Sirianni? That's my question. If you love Dan Campbell, you should love Nick Sirianni. They're very similar. D-Rab said, I would prefer Lions. It would be less annoying and better for us to beat them. I feel that. They're the more worthy opponent. I do agree there. And to be fair, when you get into division rivals, it gets a little funky, if we're being very transparent here. So I do feel that. I'm not going to be mad either way at the end of the day. At this point in the postseason, your opponent's going to be your opponent. Like Martian said earlier in the show, we're going to run through whoever's in our way. So it is what it is. What's up, Brandon? Brandon Halam? Am I saying that correct? Welcome to the show. Brandon shared that the AFC South has more wins this postseason than the NFC North and the AFC West. Very interesting. Obviously, a team from the NFC North didn't play yet, the Lions, but you have two teams that did take L's last weekend. You look in the AFC West, obviously the Chargers lost last weekend, the Broncos lost last weekend, so they're 0-2. You still have the Chiefs there, but you're not wrong, Brandon. You are correct. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think, to be fair to Brandon in that point, I went into last weekend thinking the Chargers were going to win. I went into last weekend, I actually thought the Rams would win, so I'm not going to say that, but the Vikings were favored, right? No, you're correct, Brandon. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. D-Rab says, I don't want to walk through, plus, honestly, division games, anything can happen. Yeah. I will say the one thing that bodes well, hypothetically speaking, if the Eagles ever were to match up with the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, we know how hard it is to beat teams 3 times. You lost that last game. What Hurts gets injured, whatever, you lost it. So you don't have like that stigma going against you as well. Nonetheless, I ask all these questions about Houston. That's what they are. They're questions. They're concerns. I ask these questions about CJ Stroud. That's what they are. They're questions. They're concerns. The thing with Kansas City today, I do feel like Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and company, I do feel like they could take it to another level offensively in the postseason. Maybe the regular season version of them is what they are. I just still have a little bit of room for optimism that they're a little bit better than what they showed in the regular season offensively. The defense is legit. D-Hop, Xavier Worthy, can you get those guys involved? You got Pacheco, you got Hunt in the backfield. So I still am confident that Kansas City is going to win this game. I think the question for me is whether or not the Texans ultimately cover. 9.5. It's like, it's so tricky because it's like it could be a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter. Chiefs have the ball. They score 7 to go up 10. They cover the spread. You know what I mean? So it could be a close game and the Chiefs still end up winning by 10. I'll just say this. I do think it will end up being a close game going into the fourth quarter. I think it will be a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter. Chiefs may separate from that point with experience, with their defense. But I do think Houston can hold it down for 3 quarters at least, keep their team in it, keep their offense in it. Yeah. That is actually very ironic. It's very ironic. Just shows you, man, you can put a little bit of stock or maybe even, a good bit of stock into the regular season, but it isn't the end-all, be-all for the postseason. So I think that's a great point as well. So I'll go with KC to win. I do like the Texans to cover D-Rab spread plus 14.5. I do like the Texans to cover that spread. I don't know about the 9.5. I wouldn't bet it. Okay, I wouldn't bet it. I would stay away from the spread here. But as far as plays that I like in this game, or what I would call my best bets, I mentioned Nico Collins. I do think he'll be able to do his thing today. I don't think that it'll be enough by any means. I do think that he'll be able to do his thing today. I got him at over 83.5 yards at minus 110. The odds may have shifted. I'm just double checking that for us now. Just see where we're at here. Because I also want an update on my other play as well. So his yards must have moved. They moved down actually. So better for you guys. Over 81.5 at minus 110 now for Nico Collins. It is weird that I'm putting like best bets. This is another Texans best bet. I just feel like anytime you can get Joe Mixon this season at plus money, he's plus 145 to score. The Texans are going to score a touchdown today, right? Right? I like Joe Mixon at plus money. I haven't seen his touchdown at plus money in quite a while. D-Rab says they should cover 10, honestly, but they were sus this year, so I don't know how much to trust it. If the Chiefs are the type that can run up a score in any random game, but also how many games they win by 1-3. Yeah, it's fair. They have had quite a few close games this season. So that's very fair. Texans, once again, good defense. I wouldn't bet the plus 9.5. I like the plus 14.5 much more, as you laid out there. But I do. I like Joe Mixon to score in this one. I like Nico Collins to do his thing today. Nico Collins touchdown, which is also not a bad play, plus 170. I do like that as well. Mahomes. I said this is a tough Houston defense. Mahomes, 250 plus passing yards. Let me see where it's at now. It was at minus 115. Now it's at minus 130. So it did move a little bit, lost a little bit of juice, but minus 130 is still not that bad. I do think Mahomes is going to have to make some plays. I think he will make some plays. I do think that Houston defense is sturdy. They'll be able to force Mahomes to have to get the ball down the field a bit. Let's move on to the second game today, and then we'll get out of here. I got to go watch my Arsenal. They are actually already kicked off, but we got the Washington Commanders 12-5 ending up here in Detroit against the 15-2 Detroit Lions that are coming off a bye. You had the Detroit Lions, as I mentioned, coming off a bye. The Washington Commanders last week. Impressive win in Tampa Bay. Jaden Daniels' first playoff start. A 23-20 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Baker Mayfield and company. Todd Bowles, he's been known to get in young quarterbacks' heads, known to be the arch nemesis of Jalen Hurts. To be fair to Jaden Daniels, was able to go out there and make plays to win his team this game. As a rookie, I'll be honest, Jaden Daniels is going to be great. He's going to be a great player. Like, all the hate in my heart for the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels looks very poised. He looks very good as a rookie. He's going to be a great player. Is he good enough as a rookie to lift his less talented Washington Commanders team past a high-powered Detroit Lions team? And obviously, we're talking about the Lions offense there. They won by a kick. They won by a doink kick, by the way. Very lucky this season, the Commanders are, with some of the things that have kind of fallen their way. But a win is a win. It was in Tampa Bay. You're going to take the W however you can get it. So you do have to give them a little bit of credit. But we know Tampa Bay, they're not the Detroit Lions. I do think the Detroit Lions will put up more than 20 points tonight on that Commanders defense. And so once again, it begs the question, will the Commanders be able to keep up? Can they put up 30-plus points tonight? The total is sitting at what? 55.5 points. It's sky high. It's good, HP. Welcome. 55.5, right? The Detroit Lions probably going to score 30-plus points tonight. Can the Commanders keep up? Can Jaden Daniels be so elite as a rookie to lift his team up that high? I'll be amazed if he does. Everyone is on upset alert, to be clear here. For some reason, I get it. You had the Hail Mary in Chicago earlier this season, right? You have the doink in the first round of the playoffs against Tampa Bay. I just don't think they have enough firepower, man. I just don't see it. And I don't think their defense is going to be able to stop Detroit. let me ask this. This is another interesting part of it because Washington is a 6th seed. Jaden Daniels is a rookie quarterback. You got Dan Quinn is a first-year head coach. Not his first time being a head coach. First-year head coach for Washington is what I'm trying to say. So he's just now getting his culture implemented into this team, right? How much pressure is on Detroit to like come out and win this game? Not only win it, but like win it comfortably. They've been hyped up all season. Dan Campbell is the man. He's not afraid of anyone. He's going to go out and he's going to play aggressive. Jared Goff, top 5 quarterback this season. Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams breakout year. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery's back for God's sake. How much pressure is really on this Detroit Lions team? You're at home against the 6th seed. Maybe the pressure does mount up. We saw Jared Goff throw, 4 or 5 interceptions earlier this year against the Houston Texans on a nationally televised game. Maybe the pressure mounts up. I think that's the only way the Lions could lose this game, is if the pressure's too big, they're too small for the moment. And Jaden Daniels is him. That's the equation to Washington winning. Detroit, too small for the moment, too much pressure built up. Jaden Daniels is him as a rookie. And maybe Dan Campbell makes a few bad decisions as far as going for it, not kicking field goals, not taking points, whatever the case may be. That is how Washington can get a W. I don't think the Lions are that incompetent. I think the Lions are going to get a W tonight. I think they're going to take care of business. The spread did move, right? I have 9.5 written down. It's 8.5 now. Yes, Washington plus 8.5 at minus 112. The Lions offense is too high powered for me to put any faith in the Washington Commanders covering, to be quite honest. I think there is a world where the Commanders can cover. To HP's point, don't count them out from winning. For my money, I can't trust a Lions team that can go out here and put up 40. I can't trust the Commanders to come out and put up, 31 points. I have to see that to believe it in the postseason. Yeah. Jared Goff pulls a Sam Darnold, pulls a Justin Herbert. It's possible. The discords must be on the Commanders spread. Texans to cover, Lions to cover, over 35 points for both. I wonder what that is. That's got to be pretty solid. 35. The 35 probably doesn't do anything for the Lions Commanders game, so you could probably just leave that off. But yeah. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm going with the Lions tonight. Don't count the Commanders out, to HP's point. I think there's a chance for them. My best bets for this game. I'm going with Jaden Daniels prop. So I put the question out there, is he him? I think that Jaden Daniels could end up being him. Maybe not today. I think he can still have a solid game nonetheless. Got 2 Jaden Daniels props that I'm liking for this game. 2 passing touchdowns. We know the Lions defense. I say, can the Commanders keep up? I don't know if they'll score 30 plus. They're going to put up some points. The Lions defense isn't that good. So I do like Jaden Daniels 2+ passing touchdowns. Just want to make sure because I got it at plus 100 yesterday, but let's double check here. It's minus 105 now, so it did move a little bit, but I still like it nonetheless. I do have one. I said I have 2 Daniels props. His over in the rushing yards. I just want to double check where we're at there. Still 55.5. So I do like Jaden Daniels over 55.5 rushing yards at minus 115. So those are the 2 Daniels props. 2 passing tutties over in rushing yards. And then I have Amon-Ra over 76.5 receiving yards. You just double check that to be sure here because that was minus 110 yesterday. 76.5 at -115. So it lost a little bit of juice there. But nonetheless, those are the three plays I like from this game. Total, just too high, man. 55.5. I'm not betting that. The spread, once again, you're in the second round of the postseason. I guess I would put it this way with these spreads. I would probably lean more towards the underdogs covering just because it's the postseason. We're in the second round. These teams should be competing at a high level. So if I had to pick either way in both of these games, I'd probably pick the underdogs to cover. But I'm staying away from both spreads, to be completely honest with you. Plus 425 if you leave Commanders points off. It starts at 42. True. Yeah, get your bets in today. Tread lightly, because I do think, you look at tomorrow, maybe the Eagles Rams for my money. I'm not going to give away my prediction, but I don't know if that's going to be the game people really expect it to be. Tomorrow night, though, the Ravens and the Bills. That is the game. That's the game that I want to have some bread for. There's going to be a lot of nice props to go in that one. I'll give you one off top today that I'm loving it. I'm loving it going into Sunday. Josh Allen anytime touchdown, Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown, parlayed together. Come on. Plus 525 is what I saw it at yesterday. I'm sure it's probably similar at this point. But that is one that I like. If you want to lay them separately as well, I just think this is a game where we see these quarterbacks really show their abilities. So I'm excited for that game. But nonetheless, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to get out of here, go watch my Gunners play, and get ready for the evening slate of football we got this evening. I'm going to pour up some tequila with the wife and really have a good time. I hope you all do the very same. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm not putting my money on it, B. Garcia. I'm not putting my money on it. I'm just saying, if I had to lean one way, check out the beginning of the show. I gave my thoughts on that matchup. I am going with the Chiefs in that game, to be clear here. But thanks for commenting, B. Garcia. If you haven't subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. Help us out. Help us gain traction on the page here. But if not, definitely just appreciate you tapping in. Thanks for the show. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining the show. Xavier Worthy over 2.5. I did see, I'm in a group chat with D-Rab. I did see that. I actually like that a lot, because I do think the Chiefs try some interesting things. Andy Reid is creative. Nah, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not losing my money on the Chiefs. I'm not betting on it, B. Garcia. But I appreciate you. There is people out there. Let me ask you this before I go, B. Garcia. One of the other commenters towards the beginning of the show said plus 14.5. How do you feel about plus 15? If you're still there, I'll give it a minute just to see your response. But if you're still there, how do you feel about plus 14.5? A little bit of an alt spread. It's all good. B. Garcia, appreciate you tapping into the show. D-Rab, HP, Tiffany, all of you guys that were in the comments today. Appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow. Dylan will be back. We'll be here roughly a little bit earlier. So we'll be here roughly around 11. We'll have Eagles pregame right after that around 12. But I will see you guys tomorrow with another part of this interesting slate. Have a great rest of your Saturday, guys. Peace.